I'm only going to speak from experience. I'm not a therapist or a crisis counselor or a psychiatrist, but I want to speak from experience about the ending ourselves equation. I don't know if I'm allowed to even say that S word. I might get kicked off YouTube or censored. But you know what I'm talking about. When we feel like we can't go on, I have a theory about that. Um, when we feel like we can't go on, we basically feel like, picture a prisoner of war begging their captor to kill them. I'll just say that, the K word, once. Begging their captor and their torturer to end them. And it's not because the prisoner wants to die. It's because the prisoner wants the pain to stop. And they're not willing to give their captor the information about their side. They just want the pain to end. And lots of times, if you go through enough physical pain, maybe even psychological pain, you might pass out. And you go into shock. You go into a state after a while, because you can only take so much. Now, in psychological terms, and in the terms maybe of the nervous system that I have studied and learned as a peer, as a person who's experienced a lot of that psychological pain in my life, when you wonder if you're gonna get your needs met, your basic needs met, whether you're gonna be able to survive, whether you're gonna have love and belonging, or feel like you're part of a community. Let's face it, we're tribe. We're part of a tribe. The human race is a pack race. We really can't live without each other. Imagine if we really had to live without each other. We wouldn't even have grocery stores. We wouldn't even have people helping us operate the self-checkout computers. You get my point. If there was an emergency, we wouldn't even have paramedics helping us. This independence stuff, don't let that get out of control. We need each other. So if you don't get the basic needs met, you feel like you're in danger, and that is so painful. You're either going to want to fight back as hard as you can, or you're going to want to just shut down and pretend you're not even here. If you feel like you're being rejected all the time, if you feel like you're not part of a community, if you feel like you're not complete, that's really painful too. I felt that way when I was bullied at school every day. And I wanted to end things when I was 14. You know how the system treated me? They wanted to just lock me up. They wanted to just lock me up in the hospital. So I had to tell the teacher and the nurse and the school counselor that I didn't want to, But I wanted to end the pain. I didn't understand it at the time. I was only 14. I understand it now. When I was 11 years old, I had my first thought of ending things. I was 11. And it was because I could not bear not feeling like I was part of the family. My aunt and her boyfriend closed me out. Not my uncle, her boyfriend, before she married my second uncle to my aunt. And the psychological pain of feeling left out was excruciating, especially after my aunt love bombed me and sparkled all over me and showered me with love and attention when she was single and before my mother died, before she had to take the role of my parent full time. The psychological pain and the rejection and the emotional shock was excruciating, and I wanted to end that. When we're feeling like we can't go on, most of us, I can't speak for everybody on the planet, but I'll speak for myself. I didn't really want to die. I didn't know it at the time, but I did not really want to die. And if you guys can relate, most of you probably don't want to or didn't want to either. The equation is not about wanting to die and just save the life by locking up someone in the hospital. It is about feeling like you can go on. It is about feeling like, in our case, we can still pay the rent, like we can still eat, like we can still have support, we can still have friends, we can still feel worthy. We can still feel like we have power. We can still feel like we're connected to people on the planet and connected to life itself. Like we can assert ourselves and get what we want and need. We can hear people and get along and be heard. Like we can trust ourselves and trust each other. not feel like we're always gaslighted and having our reality altered because we have to survive. We're feeling like we have to alter our own reality just to survive. And if we believe whatever higher power or whatever positive force we believe in, we need to feel like we're connected to that. When I was bullied, I'll use my examples again. When I was 11 and I felt left out of the family, and when I was 14 and I got bullied, I knew that I was going to have food. I knew that I had shelter. I knew that I had those basic needs met. I knew, but I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like anyone wanted me. I didn't feel like I was loved. I didn't feel like I had any power. I didn't feel like I had any connection. You know, when you're bullied, you feel, let's face it, you don't feel connected. When you don't have anyone standing up for you, it's hard. It's hard and maybe even impossible to feel connected. If you see that one instance at school when I was 14, I did hit a girl back when she hit me, and I was taught all my life, when it comes to blows, don't ever hit first. You hit back if someone hits you. And but I got in trouble for hitting back, and when I got in trouble for hitting back, when I was the one that got grabbed and restrained in the cafeteria for hitting a girl back because she kept calling me bad names, I felt disempowered. When we feel like we don't have any power, we don't want to go on lots of times. And it's not, again, it's not about wanting to die. It's about wanting to live, but have a viable life. And when we feel gaslighted and when we feel like our reality is altered, that's pretty tortuous too. And when I think I subconsciously knew I was still connected to a higher power. I still vaguely sensed that there was kindness on the planet, even though I was bullied. I still sensed there was kindness on the planet when I was left out and stonewalled by my family members that raised me. I knew there was some kindness. You know, I had kindness from people outside the family, even some people at school, etc. Babysitters. You know, I was still getting babysat when I was 11. I had babysitters that were kind to me. You know, I knew there was still good on the planet. I knew I was getting my basic needs met. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not all we need. We need to feel like we belong. We need to feel like we're empowered. We need to feel like we're connected. We need to feel like we're heard and seen and known and validated. And we need to feel like our reality is safe. We need to feel like we can trust ourselves, like we're not crazy. We're not always the crazy or the bad one. So I'm just saying that. Our rent just went up again, and Bruce and I don't know if we can pay it, but as long as he and I have hope that we're not going to be homeless, and I hope eventually we can fight the system and eliminate homelessness. So hope is crucial. I cannot forget seeing this movie about prisoners that believed they could go on only because they knew they could dig under the ground and escape. They dug every day. If they hadn't had that hope, if they thought they were going to stay in that awful prison forever, they might have just shut down and died. Even they might have starved to death, even if they had food. They might have felt like they belonged to each other, but not having hope to go on. See what I'm saying? I'm going to end now. I hope you guys have a safe weekend. You're loved. God bless you.